How did one funny party story turn into papers placed in my hands in a bright office lobby? Why did my husband stay calm while I looked like the victim until a legal result hit in public and no one laughed anymore? My name is Althea Price, and I always knew how to keep a room listening. People say I chase attention like it is air, but I call it presence. I worked hard for my life. I planned events for a software company, and I made things look perfect even when they were not. I liked being the person who could walk in late and still own the space. Evan was my husband. He was steady and quiet, and he thought that was enough. He fixed things and paid bills on time. He made lists and closed drawers softly. He loved our daughter, Maisie, in a clean way that looked almost boring. Sometimes I told myself I deserved more than boring. I still think I was right. The party was on a rooftop over a downtown hotel. Tara called it a small birthday, but there were at least 30 people, and the music was loud. The city lights looked like a screen behind us. I wore a black dress that made people look twice. Evan asked if it was too much. I said it was normal and he was acting old. On the ride there, Evan asked what time we would leave. I said we would leave when I was ready. He said Maisie had school in the morning. I said he could handle one morning by himself if I wanted a night out. He kept his hands on the wheel and went quiet. At the entrance, Tara hugged me and said I looked like I had finally woken up. I told her I had always been awake. Jules smiled and asked if Evan was okay. I said he was always okay, like a robot. Evan shook hands with people and said polite things. He stood a little behind me, like he was not sure where to place himself. I could feel the room watching us. I could also feel my own power. People liked me when I was sharp. They liked me even more when I was sharp at someone else's cost. Tara brought drinks, and the group formed a circle around a tall table. Someone asked how long Evan and I had been married. I said 8 years, like it was a joke. Someone said we seemed so different. I said opposites attract, and then I laughed like it was cute. Then someone mentioned my ex. Mason's name came up because he had sold Tara's cousin a house, and he was the type of man who stayed in people's stories. I felt a small spark when I heard his name. I did not plan what happened next, but I also did not stop it. Jules asked what Mason was like. I said he was confident. Tara asked if he was the best boyfriend I ever had. I said it depended on what best meant. Evan looked at me and asked if we could talk for a second. I said we were talking. They wanted details. They leaned in like the party had finally started. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself I was just telling the truth. In my head, truth was a shield. I said Mason was better in every way. I said he was more fun, more bold, more natural. I said he knew how to make a woman feel chosen. I said Evan was kind, but kind was not the same as exciting. Tara laughed and said it was savage. Someone lifted a phone, and I saw the camera light in the corner of my eye. Evan asked me to stop. He asked why I would say that in public. I said everyone was being dramatic. I said it was a party and people tell stories. I said Evan always tried to control how I looked. That word came out easy, like I had practiced it. He asked if I wanted to hurt him. I said I did not want anything except a normal night. I said he made himself the victim all the time. I said if he was more confident, he would laugh too. In that moment, I felt proud of myself. I felt like I had taken the air from his chest and put it into mine. I did not call it cruelty. I called it balance. Some people cheered. Tara said I was brave for saying what other women thought but hid. Jules smiled, but his smile looked tight. A woman I barely knew asked Evan if he was okay. Evan said he was fine. He said it quietly and looked down at the table. I watched him, like he was an object, like he had failed a test. Later, Evan asked if we could leave. He said he did not feel well. I said he was trying to ruin my night. I said he was jealous because people liked me. He asked me again, and I said no. He walked away from the table. At first, I thought he was going to the bathroom. Then I saw him pick up his jacket. He did not slam a door or throw a fit. He did not shout or grab me. He simply left. That calm made me angry because it did not give me a scene. Tara asked where he went. I said he was sulking. I said he always did this when I told the truth. Tara told me not to worry and said men hate being compared. I said Evan should grow up. I stayed. I drank more. I laughed louder than before. I let people assume I had won something. When the party ended, I took a rideshare home. In the car, I opened my phone and saw that I had been tagged in a short video. The caption said something like, "Althea is honest," with laughing faces. I watched the clip and heard my own voice saying Mason was better in every way. The clip cut to Evan's face for a second, and his eyes looked empty. I felt a small twist in my stomach, but I told myself it was just guilt from being too honest, not from being wrong. At home, the kitchen lights were off. Evan's shoes were gone from the entry. The house felt too quiet, like it was holding its breath. I went upstairs and saw Maisie's door closed, her nightlight glowing under the crack. I did not go in. Our bedroom door was half open. Evan was not there. The bed was made on his side, too neat, like he had never touched it. I walked to the bathroom and saw his toothbrush missing. I told myself he was being childish. Then I saw his phone on the dresser, face up, like he had forgotten it or wanted me to see it. The screen lit for a second. A calendar reminder flashed, and I caught the words before it went dark. It said, "Downtown 10:40 a.m. Under it, I saw meeting personal, like it came back again and again. I stood there with the glow fading off the screen. I told myself it was work. I told myself he was planning a surprise. I told myself anything except the one thought that felt cold and sharp. I went downstairs and called his name. No answer came. The guest room door was closed at the end of the hall, and I heard nothing behind it. I told myself he was trying to scare me. I told myself he would come back to our bed when he calmed down. I lay alone and stared at the ceiling. The silence felt like a punishment, but I also felt a strange relief. If he stayed quiet, I could keep my story clean. I could still say he left first. I could still say he was the one who made it public. In the dark, my phone buzzed again with a new notification. The tagged video had more views, and the comments were starting to grow. I held my breath and scrolled, telling myself I was the one in control. Monday morning felt like a test I did not study for. The office lights were too bright, and the air smelled like burnt coffee. I walked in like nothing happened. I told myself this was how strong people moved. If you act normal, people believe you are normal. My phone kept buzzing. The rooftop clip had spread past my friend's circle. Tara had shared it to her story, and other people had reposted it with laughing stickers. I watched it again at my desk, with my screen tilted low. I heard my own voice saying Mason was better in every way. I saw Evan's face for that 1 second. I told myself he looked guilty because he knew I was right. At work, my coworker Renee asked if my weekend was fun. I said it was busy. She asked if Evan was okay because she saw a tag. I said he was just tired and sensitive. I said he did not like parties. She nodded like she understood, and that made me feel safe. Then my manager, Colin, pinged me and asked for a quick word. He did not smile. He asked if everything at home was fine because he saw something online. I said it was a joke and people took it wrong. He said he did not care about jokes, but he cared about reputation. I said I understood and I would handle it. I wanted to blame Evan for this, even though he did not post it. In my head, he had still caused it by walking out. I told myself he had embarrassed me first. I told myself I was only finishing what he started. At lunch, I opened the clip again and stared at the comments. Some people wrote that I was cruel. Some people wrote that Evan should leave me. Tara replied to those with laughing faces and said people were too soft. I liked Tara for that. I needed someone to match my mood. Evan did not text me good morning. That bothered me more than it should have. He usually sent a short message about Maisie's drop-off or a photo of her backpack. Today, there was nothing. I told myself he was trying to punish me. Around mid-afternoon, I got one message from him. It was short and plain. He said Maisie's pickup was covered, and he would handle dinner. He did not add a heart or a smile. He did not ask about my day. The emptiness of it felt like an insult. I texted back and asked if he was still acting like a victim. He replied that he was not arguing in writing. That line hit me wrong. It sounded practiced. I asked what that meant. He did not reply. On my calendar, I had reminders for my event planning work. On Evan's calendar, I had seen meeting personal more than once. I thought about it while I sat in a meeting room with glass walls. People outside could see me nodding and smiling, and I felt like a performer. After work, I did not go straight home. I told myself I needed air. I also told myself I deserved support. That was how I justified calling Logan. Logan was not a stranger. He worked in sales and showed up at some of my company events. He knew how to talk to people. He had a way of looking at me like I was the main point of the room. That look was a kind of drug. I texted him and asked if he was free for a quick coffee. He answered fast. He said he could meet at a co-working cafe near the river. When I walked in, the cafe was busy but quiet. People typed on laptops and wore headphones. The smell of baked bread made me feel calm for a second. Logan stood up when he saw me. He asked if I was okay. I said I was fine, but people were acting weird about a joke. He said some men could not handle the truth. I said Evan was like that. Logan said I should not have to shrink for anyone. I told him about the party, but I made it sound smaller. I said I was only talking, and Evan got dramatic. Logan said Evan sounded controlling. I agreed too fast. I wanted the word controlling to be true because it made my choices look clean. Logan asked if I still thought about Mason. I said it was not about Mason. It was about being seen. He said I deserved to be seen. I said Evan did not see me anymore. He only managed me like a checklist. Logan said that sounded lonely. I said it was lonely. He asked what I wanted to do next. I said I wanted Evan to stop acting like I ruined his life. I said I wanted him to come back and admit he overreacted. Logan said Evan would not do that unless he feared losing me. I said Evan would never lose me because I was the one holding the marriage together. Even when I said it, I felt a sharp doubt. When I left the cafe, Logan walked me to my car. He asked me to text him later. I said I would. I sat in the driver's seat and stared at my phone for a long moment. I told myself coffee was not cheating. I told myself it was just a friend. I still knew it was more than that, but I liked the fog of excuses. At home, the driveway looked the same, but the house felt different. Evan's car was there. The porch light was on. The curtains were closed tight. I walked in and heard the TV in the living room, low and steady. Maisie ran to me and hugged my waist. She asked where I was. I said I had to work late. She asked if Dad was mad. I said Dad was tired. She said he ate dinner with her in the kitchen, and he did not sit in his usual chair. I laughed like it was cute. It was not cute. Evan came into the hallway. His face looked calm, but his eyes did not meet mine. He asked if I was done posting clips of him. I said I did not post anything. People tagged me. He said I could still take it down from my page. I said he was trying to control my social life. He said he was asking for basic respect. I said respect had to be earned. He asked where I was after work. I said I stayed at the office. He asked why my location showed the river area. I said my phone was wrong, and he was being paranoid. He said he was not discussing my location with me. He said he was going to bed in the guest room. He walked past me without touching me. I waited for him to slam a door. He did not. He just closed the guest room door softly, like he did not want Maisie to hear. I stood in the kitchen and looked at the counter. 2 mugs were there, but they were far apart, like someone had moved one on purpose. I opened a drawer and saw it was neat, neater than usual. It made me angry because it looked like order, and order felt like control. Later, when the house was quiet, I heard a faint sound from the hallway. It was a soft beep, like a phone starting and stopping something. I stepped toward the guest room door, but I did not knock. I told myself he was recording me to make me look crazy. Then I told myself I did not care. In bed, alone, I scrolled again. More people had commented on the clip. Some were strangers. One comment said Evan looked like a good man and I looked mean. I wanted to reply and explain myself. I wanted to say it was just humor and men always act fragile. I wanted to say I had needs and Evan ignored them. I did not reply. I saved the comment in my mind like a threat. Then I opened my texts and typed Logan's name. I stared at the empty message box and felt my pride harden. If Evan wanted silence, I could give him silence too. I could also build my own team. In the dark, I told myself I was not doing anything wrong. I told myself I was simply refusing to be trapped. The community hall smelled like plastic flowers and new paint. My company rented it for a networking mixer, and I was the one who made it look expensive. I placed the signs, checked the lights, and told the catering team where to stand. When people walked in and smiled, I felt powerful again. At work, I could still be the good version of me. Evan said he would not come. He said he had Maisie. I told him he was using our child as an excuse. He said he was not an accessory for my image. I told him he always said strange things when he was mad. He said he was not mad, just finished with being laughed at. That word laughed annoyed me. I told myself he was the one who made it weird by leaving the rooftop party. I told myself I only said what I felt. If he could not handle my feelings, that was his weakness. I drove to the hall alone. In the parking lot, I checked my phone. Logan had texted me a simple line, asking if I needed help. I said I did not need help, but he could come if he wanted. I told myself this was normal. It was good networking. It was a way to show Evan I still had a life. Inside, I moved fast. I greeted vendors and co-workers. Renee asked if Evan was coming. I said he was home being sensitive. She gave a small smile, like she did not want to get involved. Colin walked by and asked if everything was steady. I said everything was fine, and people online were dramatic. He said the company could not be part of personal drama. I said I understood, and I smiled like I was easy. I saw my name on the guest list and felt relief. I always liked lists. Lists meant control. Evan liked lists too, but his lists felt like rules. My list felt like a stage. People arrived in waves. Some were clients, some were co-workers, some were partners. I shook hands and laughed. I made jokes that were safe. I kept my voice warm. I acted like I had no mess at home. Then I saw Logan walk in. He wore a clean jacket and smiled like he belonged. He asked if I wanted him to grab me water. I said yes, like he was already part of my routine. He asked if I was okay today. I said I was great, but my husband was still sulking. Logan asked what Evan was doing. I said Evan was trying to punish me with silence. Logan said silence was a weapon. I liked that idea because it made me feel like the victim. I said Evan had always been controlling in quiet ways. Logan said I should not accept that. I nodded like he was giving me good advice. Jules arrived with Tara. Tara hugged me too hard and said she loved the rooftop clip. She said the views kept going up. I said it was funny how people cared so much. Tara asked where Evan was. I said he could not handle a confident woman. Tara laughed loud enough for nearby people to hear. A client looked over. My stomach tightened for a second, but I kept smiling. I told myself the client would respect a strong woman who spoke her mind. Later, a coworker asked me if it was true I still missed my ex. I said I did not miss anyone. I said I just believed in honesty. I said some men wanted women to be small, and I refused that. The coworker nodded and said people online were harsh. I said people online hated confident women. I made it sound like a social issue, not a marriage issue. I checked my phone and saw no new messages from Evan. That silence followed me like a shadow. I wanted him to be mad, because anger would prove he cared. Calm was worse. Calm felt like a door closing. I walked to the side table where I kept my event binder. My laptop was open behind it. On the screen, a spreadsheet was up with budgets and names. I did not look at it closely, but the sight of rows and numbers comforted me. I told myself I was the responsible one. Evan could not survive without me. Logan asked if I wanted a photo for the company page. I said yes. He stood close, closer than needed, and put his hand lightly at my back. I did not move away. I told myself it was normal for photos. Tara saw it and raised her eyebrows like she approved. Someone lifted a phone and said they would tag us. In my head, I pictured Evan seeing it later. I pictured him feeling small. I liked that picture more than I should have. Near the end of the night, I saw a message from Evan at last. He said Maisie was asleep and he had left my dinner in the fridge. That was all. No anger, no questions. I stared at the words and felt heat in my face. The message looked like a receipt, like he was documenting that he fed me. Logan asked what was wrong. I said nothing. He asked if Evan was still acting cold. I said Evan loved acting like a victim. Logan said maybe Evan wanted attention too. I said Evan already had my whole life. I said he did not get to complain now. As people started leaving, Colin thanked me for a good event. He said it was smooth. I said that was because I cared. He said he hoped everything stayed professional. I said it would. When I walked out, the air was cold and sharp. I did not want to go home yet. Home felt like a quiet courtroom. I drove to the riverside promenade and parked under a streetlight. The river moved slowly. The city lights shook on the water. Couples walked past holding hands. I sat on a bench and opened my phone again. I looked at the clip, then at the photo from the hall with Logan too close. I told myself it was not my fault if Evan was insecure. I told myself a husband should fight for his wife. Evan was not fighting, Evan was retreating. That felt like abandonment, so I turned it into my excuse. Logan called me. He asked if I got home safe. I said I was still out. He asked where. I said near the river. He asked if I wanted company. I said no, not tonight. I told myself I was being responsible by saying no. I also liked knowing he would come if I asked. When I finally drove home, Evan's car was in the driveway, but it was parked in a different spot than usual, pointed toward the street. That small detail hit me like a warning. Inside, the kitchen was clean, too clean. Maisie's lunchbox was on the counter with a note that said what she needed for school. The handwriting was Evan's. I walked to the hallway and saw the guest room door closed. I listened. I heard nothing. I knocked once and asked if he was awake. He opened the door only a little. He asked what I needed. I said I needed my husband to stop acting like a stranger. He said he was not acting. He said he was choosing distance. I said he was being dramatic and trying to scare me. He said he was being careful. I asked careful about what? He said he was careful about words and proof. He said he would only talk about Maisie and the house, in short, clear messages now. I said that was ridiculous. He said it was simple. I noticed his keyring when he shifted his hand. There was a new key on it, bright and unused. I asked what it was for. He said it was for storage. I asked what he meant by storage. He said he had a right to organize his own things. His voice stayed calm. I tried to step closer, but he did not move back or forward. He just stood there like a wall. I felt the urge to poke him, to make him break, to prove he still had feelings. I said he was punishing me because I told the truth. He said he was protecting himself because I told the truth in public. He closed the door softly. No slam, no insult. The soft click felt louder than a shout. In my bedroom, I lay on my side and stared at the ceiling. I told myself Evan was overreacting. I told myself I could fix this anytime I wanted. I told myself he would come back when he realized he needed me. But my phone stayed quiet, and the house stayed quiet, and and I could not ignore the feeling that he was moving without me now. Saturday came with forced smiles. Janet, my mother, said we needed a family dinner to clear the air. She said people were talking, and that meant we had to show a united front. I agreed because I wanted witnesses. I wanted a room full of adults to confirm Evan was the problem, not me. The restaurant was one of those family places with long wooden tables and loud plates, the kind where you cannot whisper without being heard. Janet chose it on purpose. She said public places kept people polite. I thought it would keep Evan trapped. We arrived first, me and Maisie. Maisie wore a dress with tiny flowers. She asked why everyone was meeting. I told her we were just having dinner. She asked if Dad was coming. I said yes, and I said it like it was normal. Evan came 10 minutes later with his parents. Patricia walked beside him with a tight mouth. Greg looked calm, like he was going to a meeting, not a family dinner. Evan held Maisie's backpack, even though she did not need it. That small detail bothered me. It looked like planning. Evan sat at the end of the table, not beside me. Patricia sat near him. Greg sat across from Janet. Brielle came in late and hugged Maisie first. Carl came last and looked tired before he even sat down. Janet started fast. She asked Evan why he left the party. She asked why he was making a scene days later. Evan said he did not leave to make a scene. He said he left because he felt disrespected. Janet asked why he felt disrespected when I just spoke honestly. Evan said honesty did not need an audience. I jumped in. I said Evan always wanted to police my words. I said I could not even joke without him acting hurt. Patricia asked what part was a joke. I said it was all a joke. Patricia said a joke was only funny if both people laughed. I said Evan never laughed because he took himself too seriously. Greg asked me if I understood what I did to Evan in that moment. I said I understood that I embarrassed him, but he embarrassed me too by walking out. Evan looked at Greg and said he did not want to argue. He said he would only speak about Maisie and basic home needs. Janet rolled her eyes and said Evan was being cold. She said cold men caused problems, and then they pretended they were innocent. Patricia said Evan was not cold, he was controlled. Janet asked what that meant. Patricia said it meant he was not going to fight in public like a teenager. I felt the room shift. I did not like that. I wanted chaos because chaos hides facts. I leaned forward and said Evan had been distant for months. I said he did not touch me. He did not plan dates. He did not ask about my day. I said I felt lonely in my own marriage. Evan said he worked and came home and cared for Maisie. He said he did not know what else I wanted. I said I wanted to feel chosen. He said he chose me when he married me. Brielle tried to soften it. She said we were all stressed and maybe we should stop talking about the party clip. Tara had not come, but her voice was still in my head, telling me to stand my ground. I said the clip was proof I could be honest. I said if people could not handle it, that was not my fault. Carl cleared his throat and said a marriage was not a stage. He said the internet made everything worse. Janet glared at him and asked whose side he was on. Carl said he was on the side of peace. Janet said peace was what women begged for when men acted bad. Evan stayed quiet for a long moment. He looked down at the table and then looked at Maisie. Maisie was stirring her drink with a straw and watching faces like she was learning a new language. Maisie asked why everyone sounded mad. The table went quiet in a way that felt sharp. I smiled too wide and told her nobody was mad. We were just talking. Patricia told Maisie they were all okay and asked her about school. Evan asked Maisie if she wanted to sit closer to him, and she nodded. That hurt more than I expected. It felt like he was taking her from me in front of everyone without saying he was doing it. I tried to pull it back. I said Evan was turning Maisie against me. Evan said he was not turning anyone against anyone. He said Maisie could sit where she felt calm. Janet said Evan was playing games. Greg asked Janet to stop calling it games when a child was listening. The food arrived, and the server smiled like she did not want to hear our lives. I ate only a few bites. My stomach felt tight. I kept watching Evan. He did not look at me much. When he did, his eyes were flat, like he had moved his feelings somewhere else. I decided to try a different angle. I told Evan I wanted him to admit he overreacted. I said if he admitted it, I would take the video off my page. Evan said he did not want deals. He said he wanted respect without bargaining. I said respect was earned. He said respect was basic. Patricia asked me if I had apologized even once. I said I did not have to apologize for my feelings. Patricia said my feelings did not excuse humiliation. I said I was not responsible for Evan's insecurity. Patricia said I was responsible for my choices. Janet said Evan should be grateful I stayed with him. She said men like him could not do better. I nodded because I wanted that to be true. Evan looked at Janet and asked her to stop speaking about him like he was an object. Janet said he was acting sensitive again. Evan said he was setting a boundary. After dinner, we walked outside. The air felt cold and clean compared to the heavy table. Evan said he was taking Maisie home. I said Maisie came with me. He said Maisie would stay with him tonight because she was already packed and she was tired. I asked what he meant by packed. He said he brought her overnight things because he planned to keep her calm. Patricia stood beside him, quiet and solid. Janet started to protest. Greg told Janet to lower her voice. Janet said Evan was trying to take my child. Evan said he was not taking anyone. He said he was following a schedule he would text me. I said we did not have a schedule. He said we would. That line made my skin prickle. A schedule meant structure. Structure meant I could not improvise my way out. The next day at the school pickup line, I sat behind the wheel and watched other parents. Some of them looked at me too long. One woman whispered to another and glanced at my face. I knew why. The clip had made it out of my circle. I told myself it was jealousy. Maisie came out with her teacher and walked to Evan's car, not mine. Evan had arrived early and was parked 2 cars ahead. He waved at me once, like I was a neighbor. I stepped out and walked toward him. I asked why he picked her up on my day. He said it was not my day or his day, it was Maisie's day. He said he told me he would pick her up today. I said he did not tell me. He said he texted it in the morning. I checked my phone and saw the message. It was short and clear, like a receipt. Maisie climbed into his back seat. She asked if we could all go home together. Evan said we would talk later. I said we could talk now. He said not in the parking lot. He said he was keeping things calm. I wanted to scream, but I did not. I smiled at Maisie and told her I would see her soon. She nodded, but her face looked worried, like she did not believe anyone. As Evan drove away, I sat back in my car and watched his brake lights disappear. I told myself he was being dramatic and doing this to punish me. I told myself he would get tired of playing calm. But in my chest, I felt something else too. It was a small fear that the calm was not a game. It was a plan. The week after the restaurant dinner felt like a hallway with no doors. Evan kept everything short. He texted pickup times. He texted meal notes. He texted like he was writing for someone else to read later. I told myself he was being dramatic, but I also started rereading his messages like they were puzzles. On Thursday, I decided to prove I was still in control. I made a list of errands, like a normal wife. I told myself normal tasks could fix a marriage. I picked Maisie up from school, because Evan said it was fine for once. Maisie sat in the back seat and asked if we could do movie night. I said yes, and I said it too fast, like a promise could seal a crack. We went to the supermarket after school. The store was bright and loud. The floor looked wet even when it was dry. Maisie pushed the small cart and asked for cereal with a cartoon character on it. I said yes because I wanted her happy. I also wanted to feel like a good mother in public. At checkout, I loaded everything quickly. I added a few extra items near the register, small treats, and a new candle. The total came up higher than I expected, but I did not care. I told myself Evan owed me comfort after embarrassing me with his silence. I tapped the shared card like I always did. The screen beeped and flashed a red message. The cashier said it did not go through. I laughed and said it was a mistake. I tapped again. Same result. The cashier asked if I had another card. People in line looked at me. I felt my face heat up. I could feel Maisie watching too. I told myself it was a banking error. I told myself it was not what it looked like. I used my personal card and paid, but my hands shook. Maisie asked if something was wrong. I said nothing was wrong. I said the machine was broken. Maisie nodded, but she looked unsure. In the parking lot, I texted Evan and asked why the card did not work. He replied after a few minutes. He said he moved some spending limits and he would explain at home. He added that essentials were covered and Maisie was fine. The way he wrote "Maisie is fine" made me feel like I was the risky part. On the drive home, I talked too much. I asked Maisie about school and her teacher and who she sat with at lunch. Maisie answered, but her voice sounded small. Then she asked if Dad was mad at Mum. I said Dad was being stubborn. I said adults sometimes get quiet when they are wrong. I hated how easy that lie felt. At home, Evan's car was in the driveway, parked straight and clean. Inside, the kitchen was spotless again. The counters looked bare, like a model home. A faint smell of toner hung in the air, like someone had printed something nearby. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself I was imagining it because I was stressed. Evan was at the table with a glass of water. His phone was face down. He asked how the store was. I said the store was fine, but the card declined. He said yes. I asked why he did that. He said he did not do anything to me. He adjusted the household budget. I asked if he was trying to control me. He said he was trying to protect the household. I asked protect it from what? He said protect it from chaos. I said he was calling me chaos. He said he was calling the situation chaos. I told him he was punishing me over a joke. He said it was not a joke, and it was not only the party. He said I made him a punchline. He said I did it with a smile and witnesses. He said he was done talking about feelings as if they erased facts. I said he was acting like a lawyer. He said he was acting like a father. He said he needed stability for Maisie. I tried a softer voice. I told him I felt lonely. I told him I needed more affection. He said he heard me, but loneliness did not excuse disrespect. I said I never said I was sorry because I did not think I did anything wrong. He said that was the problem. Maisie walked in and asked what we were talking about. Evan said we were talking about dinner. I said yes, dinner. Evan asked Maisie if she wanted pasta. Maisie said yes, and looked relieved that his voice stayed calm. After Maisie went upstairs to play, I pushed again. I asked where he slept at night and when he would come back to our bed. He said he would sleep where he felt safe. I laughed and asked if he was scared of me now. He said he was careful with me now. That word again. Careful. I noticed a small sticky note near the door. It said, "Bring forms." The handwriting looked like Evan's. I asked what it meant. He said it was for something personal. I asked if he was hiding something. He said he was organizing his life. I walked to the drawer where we kept random papers and spare keys. It was closed. I tried it and felt it resist, like it was locked. I stared at it and then looked at Evan. He did not flinch. He just watched me like he was waiting for me to make my next move. I told myself he was being secretive to scare me. I told myself he would not dare do anything real. He was too quiet for that. Quiet men always stayed quiet, I thought. They never moved. That night, I went to the gym. I told Evan I needed time for myself. He said okay without asking questions. That okay felt like he did not care if I existed. I hated it. At the gym lobby, Logan was there, like he had known I would come. He asked if I was all right. I said my husband was acting crazy with money. Logan said that sounded like control. I said it was control. I said Evan was trying to make me feel small. Logan said I should not let him. I told Logan I just wanted my husband to stop acting like a victim. Logan said victims loved attention. I liked that line because it matched my story. Logan asked if I wanted to get coffee after. I said no, I had to go home for Maisie. I told myself that made me a good mother. I also liked that Logan looked disappointed, like he wanted more from me. When I got home, Maisie was asleep. A small overnight bag sat by the stairs, already packed. It had Maisie's name tag on it. I stared at it and felt my throat tighten. Evan came out of the guest room. He asked if the gym helped. I said I did not need help, I needed a husband. He said he was still her father and still a homeowner, and that was what he would focus on. I asked if he was leaving me. He said he was not discussing that with me in the hallway. I asked where Maisie was going with that bag. He said she would stay with his parents this weekend so she could rest. I said he did not have the right to decide that alone. He said he informed me, and he did it for peace. I told him he was tearing the family apart. He said I started tearing it apart when I made private comparisons public. I told him he was overreacting. He said he was responding in the only way that stayed clean. I heard a soft alarm sound from his phone, muffled, like a reminder. He glanced down and turned it off without showing the screen. I stepped closer and asked what the alarm was. He said it was a reminder for a drop-off. I asked, drop-off where? He looked at me for a long second, calm and tired at the same time. Then he said he was done fighting in circles. He said he would handle it properly. I wanted to laugh, but the words did not feel funny. They felt final. I did not think Evan would do anything real. I thought his calm was a stunt, like silence with a timer on it. So when he texted me that he needed to meet me near my office for a quick handoff, I assumed it was about Maisie's bag or some small schedule note. The office tower lobby smelled like polished stone and clean air. People walked fast with coffee cups. A security guard nodded at Evan like he had been there before. Evan stood near a column with Maisie's backpack on the floor, zipped and ready. He was dressed like a normal workday. His face looked flat, not angry, not sad. That scared me more than anger. I asked why we could not do this at home. He said he wanted it public and calm. I asked if he was trying to shame me. He said he was trying to keep things safe and clear. Maisie was not there. I asked where she was. He said she was with his mother in